Hi everyone, this is Snooks. Do you know what's stopping most couples from having a great or phenomenal marriage? It's settling for one that's good or just okay.
That's why we're inviting you to go to marriedintocrazy.com to watch our free webinar and then register for our marriage communication workshop at the end of the month. It's a free workshop that'll give you valuable tools to understand and communicate on a whole other level with your spouse or loved one.
So register today and let us be an ally for your marriage. The link will be in the show notes. Now let's get ready for the podcast.
I have talked to some married people and they may say, tell me situations in their life. I said, well, it's not a bag of chips out here being single. Appreciate me being a person who has been divorced. It's like, okay, appreciate what you have and work on it because it's slim pickings out here.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engines.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point, you realized you were married into crazy.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as we unpack this crazy thing called marriage.
So sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
All right, let's go.
Welcome to episode 116 of the Married into Crazy podcast. I'm Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And we want to welcome everybody back to the podcast. You have so many choices. We say this every single week, but we feel very blessed and honored that you choose to spend some time with us.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a special treat for you. It is Thanksgiving week. This is being released on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. And if you think back to episode 110, we had one called This One's for the Single Folks. And we talked about a variety of things. There were some topics that came up that we felt like we weren't really qualified to discuss because we've been out of the game for so long. So we said, we need to put a panel together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're about to hear. We have 6 different singles, 3 men, 3 women from across the United States sharing their different backgrounds, their different perspectives.
What they may deem as some challenges that they have or that they have had in dating and meeting people and just where they are with themselves as far as dating.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be a true blessing. And it just reminds each and every one of us that we have a lot to be thankful for. This crew that you're about to hear, we're thankful for them.
Mm-hmm.
And because we feel so blessed, just want to let everybody know that we're going to actually go one step better. There's some reduced prices that are on our website for the Married into Crazy limited edition t-shirts, as well as the I Can for couples. But we're going to go one better. We're going to take, I haven't even told Snooks about this yet. We'll take 20%.
I'm finding out with y'all.
We're going to do 20% off of the t-shirts as well as the couples I Cans for not just Black Friday, but Black Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Black Month, Black rest of the year. So it's going to be, they're on sale for the remainder of the year. 20% off the t-shirts. Get them because we are looking at changing some designs maybe down the road into 2021, 2022. That's a lot of twos I just said.
Like, what? 2022?
I know. But anyway, it's on sale. So go get yours over at marriedintocrazy.com. And don't forget that if you're listening to this and you haven't registered for the workshop at the end of the month, you heard the preamble. It's a lot of fun. We've got quite a few people that are already signed up.
Oh, that's Saturday.
That's this Saturday.
Okay.
So don't delay. Please, 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 please. The information's in the show notes. Go register. Join the fun. We're going to, you have an opportunity to do a needs analysis when it comes to communication, and we're going to break it down what it means to be crazy. And we're going to go into a little bit of an assessment, some background personality assessment as to why we choose to do the things that we do. And it'll help you in communicating with your spouse or your loved one. But aside from all that, buckle up your seat. Is that how they say? Buckle your seatbelts or whatever.
Put your seatbelts on.
Because the podcast that's coming to you right now, it is titled Tinder versus the booty call. So it's a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy this. Be sure to go ahead and let us know what your thoughts are on this particular podcast and any other suggestions, recommendations, or topics you want us to talk about directly at our Iron Tribe text line, where it comes directly to us. And that's 918-351-2799. So again, that's
918-351-2799.
all right. Here's the podcast.
Oh, what? Did we say happy Thanksgiving?
If we didn't, we didn't just now.
Okay, now happy Thanksgiving, you all. Stay safe.
All right, here you go. Just so you know, Snooks and I have a variety of people on this particular interview with us because if you think back to episode 110, where we said this one's for the single folk, a question came up on that one that we weren't prepared or even qualified to discuss because we were no longer single. So we committed to having a podcast with a panel of single people from across the nation, and that's what we're doing today.
So, are we going to introduce ourselves? Or are you just going to start talking?
Oh, go ahead, jump in.
I'm Snooks.
And I'm Lovey. And so, of course, you're listening to Married into Crazy with Snooks and Lovey. So, what I'm going to do is kind of go around the horn the way I see them. I'll say a name, and I want you to kind of introduce yourselves, give us a little background so we can jump into this. So, to my left, I see Miss Overland, Overland Afo. How are you doing?
Doing great, guys. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Overland, and I'm coming from Sugar House, Utah, originally from American Samoa. I am gratefully single, and I can't wait to learn from everybody and share.
Fantastic. Would you mind sharing your age? I mean,
Oh, yes.
I'm asking. I'm not supposed to
My
ask a lady
bad,
your
my
age.
bad. No, I remembered, but I forgot at the same time. But I'm 42.
Okay.
And status as far as been married, never been married. I
Never
know
been
you said
married.
single, never been
Yeah.
married. Okay.
Okay. And then we have Utah, and then Arthur. How are you doing, sir?
How you doing? My name is Arthur Papillon, better known as AP, from Miami, Florida, Haitian descent. Um, I'm single, was married, divorced now, um, 47 years old, and haven't dated for 10 years.
Haven't dated for 10 years. Ooh, this is gonna be
No,
really interesting.
since I was divorced. Yeah.
Okay, good. We're looking forward to some of your input as well.
Oh man.
And so me, myself, and I.
Hi, I'm Felicia. I'm from Sacramento, Felicia Pridgeon. I'm happily divorced and happily single, and I am 52 years old.
Okay.
Did I miss any of your questions?
I think you're golden. I think you're
Okay.
golden. It'll come out at some point.
Okay.
Mr. Victor Jones.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Victor Jones. I'm holding down here in Tampa, Florida. I'm turning 30 next month. I'm happily single. I've never been married, not even divorced, no kids, none of that stuff. And I'm holding down liquor talk. You know what I'm saying? We got great episodes. I think I hit everything. So now I'm looking forward to just hopping in here, talk to other people and network. And I'm just like I said, I'm also happy the crew from Married into Crazy finally have me back on here. So I'm just happy to be here.
Amen. Amen. If those of you in the audience, if you recognize Vic's voice, it's because you may have tuned in to his podcast, Liquor Talk, when we were promoting it when he had us on there several months ago now. But it was a lot of fun. We had a blast, lots of laughs. I highly, highly recommend that if you get an opportunity to put Liquor Talk in your queue.
It's liquor.
Liquor Talk.
Liquor talk.
All right.
All right. And so let's go ahead and continue. So we have, so that was a gentleman. So let's go with the lady, Dominique.
Hello, hello. Thank you guys so much. So I am Dominique. I am from Denver, Colorado. I am recently committed into a relationship, but was single for quite some time before that. I used to call myself super single. But yeah. Oh, and I am 29 years old.
Okay. Last but not least,
Leaf.
I know, right? Leaf.
Leaf. Drinking.
I got a little lisp going on now. Anthony Manalo.
Again.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? What is going on? Y'all can't see it, but Victor, I just have to say this. That shirt that you got looking on, if you single, happily single, you're gonna put yourself in trouble. That shirt is way too nice. That you're looking like that shirt is making you look like an absolute snack over there. Y'all can't see it, but I'm gonna say it. I will say that right there. Anthony Manalo calling out of San Jose, California. I am 28 years young. and I am happily single right now.
Okay. We got a lot of happily single people on this. I guess I should have did some better casting. I needed to get somebody that was angrily single.
I was, so I can speak from that place.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
past that
I
point.
was too. I was angrily single, but I was like, you know what? Let me be happy to be on this podcast.
Yeah.
And also to
yeah.
respond to Ann, whenever somebody has you on their podcast, you gotta look your best, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we appreciate that.
Amen. Amen. All right. So I'm just curious now. So I just threw out that phrase, angrily single, and then you guys were all jumping like, oh, I was angrily single. Okay. So tell me, what is your definition of angrily single?
I would say angrily single is wanting to, you have the qualities to give somebody the opportunity, but there's just nobody willing to give you a chance. And but yet you see on social media people getting treated wrong and getting mistreated. And you're like, why am I not getting the chances? And also, that some of those people that were complaining about how men or women do them, they're like, some of them you were in their DMs and they just told you you're not good enough. So that's why when you hear it over and over, that's when you get angrily single.
Gotcha.
that.
Anybody
That's
else have a
pretty good.
different definition?
Mine was more of just not being in a relationship and seeing everybody around me in a relationship. It wasn't necessarily that I was like mad at anybody in particular. I had just had a plan for my life. Like I wanted to be married at 25, kids at 28, and then I was 29, 28 and single. And I was not happy about it. Yeah, that was mine.
Okay. Nice. Okay. So let me.
Ask someone else. Anyone else? I'm sorry. Lovey will cut you off.
I was angrily single, but I mean that was probably when I was found out I was divorced when I was in a hospital bed, right? So during that time, and I was in the hospital during that time for like 3.5 months. So when I found out, that was like a month in. So I had 2.5 months to lay down in a hospital bed and think and, go through rehab and all that, being angry, not really being able to accept the therapy that was being given to me. And yeah, so.
Okay. Yeah. So three very different perspectives, around that same phrase. But I'm just curious, so some of you are extremely happy being single. Is the end goal? I mean, so now it seems like people were saying that, looking to share their traits, their gifts, their abilities with other individuals, and still to a certain extent looking to do that. What has been the biggest obstacle that you feel like in today's climate, and not just withstanding COVID? I know COVID presents a whole new slew of challenges, but if you would just say right now in, let's say, 2019, 2020, up until this point right now, what has been the biggest challenge that you feel are facing yourself when it comes to singlehood? Let's start with Anthony. He's being awfully quiet.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a great question. The biggest challenge in this season, I think the world is looking for something a little bit different. So myself, and just to be transparent, I'm a Christian, so I have a certain set of belief systems. And not to say that my belief system is right, and not to put any other belief system down. It's just the way that I'm choosing to live my life. So then when I think about it, it's like the double tap, the swipe right type of thing, that swipe right type of mentality, and they're looking for something quick. That's not what I'm looking for. Something that I'm looking for, I think it's something that's longer term, something where it's something for the long run instead of something that's super quick. I forgot what the app is called. What is that app where it's like the dudes just swipe right every single chance that they get?
Tinder?
Yeah.
Is it Tinder or something like that?
Forget.
I think it's
That's
Tinder
it.
or Bumble.
That's the one, Tinder. Yeah, so I'm not about that Tinder life right.
I'm a little bothered that my wife was the first one to come up with the answer.
Oh, snacks.
Oops, don't swipe. Don't swipe.
That's gonna be a whole other podcast right there.
Whatever. You got to keep it with the times, okay? I'm
It's
just
kinda-
saying, you got to keep up with the times.
Is
So
it me
Anthony,
or does?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Is it me or does Ant look like a movie star with like
Yes.
you
It
talking about,
does.
bruh, but you look like a movie star, my SDA brother. So you better
That is.
stop. I'm sorry.
He'll
I'm
be right
sorry.
back. The internet's acting up, so he's gonna come back
All
in just
right.
a moment.
So basically, Anthony said he's looking for Mrs. Right, not Mrs. Right now. And I think that it seems like I've heard that too, where what people seem to be the they're always, oh, what's right now, not looking for
I think
longevity or long haul.
I think that's the biggest problem. People don't want to commit anymore. And then the lies they come into telling you in the beginning, and then once they're caught, they can't get out of it. But I just think the commitment, or they're not finished with their last relationship, but they want to string a carrot in front of you to have you wait. But at my age now, I used to care about being in a relationship, but now at 52, I think once I hit 50, it doesn't matter at this point. If it happens, it happens. I'm happy with me. I do me. I think it's probably will be even harder for someone to even come in now. Not saying I won't accept it. I'm just not looking. If it happens, it happens. And as he was saying, I'm a Christian, so I have certain standards. When you're in your 20s, you have certain standards. When you're in your 30s, your standards change a little more. At 40, they change. And I think at 50 right now, what I'm looking for, it just hasn't, and I'm not even looking. God's gonna bring them to me. I'm not even looking right now. When God brings them to me, that's when it'll happen. But right now, my goals are so different right now than they were 20 years ago.
Okay, that's good. Anyone else?
So I agree with everybody what you're saying. I think just like what I said at the beginning, I'm not hatefully single or happily single, but when you're in a gratitude of singlehood, then you're able to do what Felicia says, like trust in the Lord that He's gonna bring that person. But also, on the because Heavenly Father's gonna bring him, but it's like no, but you gotta put yourself, position yourself in certain situations, have that avenue to bring the person instead of just saying like, oh, I'm just gonna sit back and wait. So for me, being gratefully single helps me work on myself and have hope because I think that's the biggest challenge for society. We all lose hope in being single. We think that if we're single, we're not blessed, but if we're married, we're more blessed. When really you're blessed by just being a whole self, your whole self, so that person could come along and help you and just make you happier. Yeah.
I wasn't saying, Orvalin, that I'm just sitting and waiting. I'm a very active person. I
Oh no,
work full
Felicia,
time.
I was talking about my best friend, not you.
Oh,
So
okay.
sorry if
No,
you
that's
thought I was
okay.
talking about you.
No. I was just saying, but I mean, when people do say they're waiting on God, but you do have to put yourself out there and get yourself in situations. Like I said, I'm very active. I travel. I've been part of a book project that I put out a couple years ago. I praise dance. I'm in the church. I mean, when activities were going on, I was out in them. So, but I'm at this point in my life, I'm just not putting up with the lies anymore. I put up with them for a long time. Just wait. And that's, I mean, even when I do meet somebody, I'll ask them a series of questions. It's the same question, just to see how they'll answer it. And they aren't smart enough to realize what I'm asking them. And it ends up that they're usually living with somebody or they're in this committed relationship. Oh, we're not happy. Well, get out of the relationship. So it's just what I choose to put up with. When in my 30s, I dibbled and dabbled and put up with things after my divorce, but my mind space was in a different place. So that's why I allowed different things to happen. But I've seen a lot, done a lot, and I'm just at a different space. So I'm just not putting up with things now. And like I said, I'm okay with it. At one point, I probably was one of your as they call them, an angry Black female about a relationship. But now it doesn't matter. I'll walk away quicker than I would to choose to stay in something and be unhappy.
So you both talked about or mentioned not staying in one place. Definitely relying on God on your faith, but also being active. Go out and doing things. So what does that look like now? I'm curious. To because we don't know. I don't know the last time we've been in a club, so I'm just curious.
I was there last week. No, I'm playing.
Tinder
Meeting her date on
clubs.
Tinder.
What is happening?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
All kind of stuff coming out right now.
The show is called Married into Crazy. We might have to change the acronym.
Wow.
But no, seriously, like, so what does that look like when it comes to, I hate that phrase, getting out there, but I can't think of anything different, but when you're being more active, trying to meet other individuals, putting yourself in an environment where you can meet like-minded individuals that aren't going to be tripping and playing games, what have you, what does that look like?
I would say it looks like sometimes getting into Facebook groups and then setting up meetings with people and that's how like it's just setting up meetings with people and to see like-minded individuals because there are like so many singles groups on Facebook, but you realize some are full of it, then some are actually legit people actually looking to meet people, and then it's real when they're setting up meetings and we're all just hanging out at different bars and everybody just networking and talking and not even thinking about singleness.
I
didn't
was
even know
on an
that was a
app.
thing.
Oh, sorry.
No, I didn't even know that was a thing. But you said
Yeah.
you met on an app?
No, we didn't meet on an app. We met actually at a wedding. But I was on an app before that. I was on an app called Hinge. I text one of my good friends and I said, which app should I like look at? Because he's one of my best friends and he was in a relationship and they met on an app. And so he said, you're not gonna like Tinder, that's not up your alley. So do Hinge, it's a little more classy. Nothing against either of them. That's just what he told me. So I was on Hinge and I went on 2 dates from it. So I was just trying to meet people and see what was happening because, yeah.
I've
So
done
let
that.
me. Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna
That
say
was actually my next question.
I've
How
done the
many people?
apps. I've done the apps and they just at the time when I did them, I found a lot of jerks and jokes and lies. The person would come up and the picture they posted was from like 10 to 15 years ago. It wouldn't even be the
1986.
it wouldn't even, and I'm sitting in my car and I'm looking over and I'm like, dude, this ain't this you?
Listen, I learned that too. So which is why sometimes I'll ask them straight up, do you have an Apple or Android? And we're gonna either FaceTime or we're gonna hit this Google chat beforehand,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or even do a Zoom meeting beforehand,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Do
If
a
I'm
Zoom.
feeling suspicious.
I mean, I guess from my end, I mean, I'm posting current pictures and what I'll tell somebody real quick, because I'll change my hair color, my hairstyle, or whatever. I said, the only thing that's changing on me is my hair. This face you see is going to be the face you're going to see, but my hair may be blonde tomorrow, may be gray tomorrow. Who knows? But that's what
No, that's right.
and that's even in my conversation. But I guess sometimes I'm too real and that may hurt me and, with a lot of people, but I don't care. I'm going to be me.
Yeah. Well, I admitted this on my Guys Only podcast like a week ago when we was talking about singleness and the fellas. What hurt me is sometimes I want somebody that's similar to me. You know what I'm saying? If I go out the wrong way to make things happen, I kind of want somebody to match my energy. So I'll go ahead and admit that. You know what I'm saying? So you're not the only one that goes through being realness.
So what about the rest of you? Have you all done the apps? What is it? eHarmony.
Oh, you tell me, because you obviously an expert.
Oh, wow.
She knows
Um,
Tinder, nothing else.
I know. I'm like, I know Tinder. No.
I
But
haven't
have you guys?
I've tried
used.
I've tried the apps, and what I found is for me it was depressing because there was no substance there. And I, no shade on Dom, because grateful you met somebody off the app, but like, oh no, you said you met somebody at the wedding, right?
At a
Sorry,
wedding, yeah.
my bad.
It's all good.
But
It's all
like some people, I've known people that get married off the apps, but the times that I felt like depressed about being on those apps because there was no substance was like when I walked away from it, I was like, oh, Heavenly Father's protecting me because I don't need to be on those apps
Right.
for me, but it could work for somebody else. So it could be good or bad, is what I'm saying.
Right.
And I have
I,
known
I,
people who have gotten married off of the app. I mean, but
wow.
one is still married after maybe about 10 years they're still married, but I do know a couple that divorced and I think things started coming out. But I think that can happen with anybody. So I have seen good or bad, just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The only thing
I've
I
never.
like about
All
the
right.
apps is sometimes people will match with you but not communicate, and it's like, I'm saying, what's the point in matching with somebody if I'm gonna reach out to you, you're not gonna communicate? So it's like I'll be getting annoyed with the apps. So it's like I'll be on that for a few days, and then I just delete the apps because I just get tired of running to the same things with the apps.
But it's the same thing as meeting somebody in person. They can make themselves look any way on that app. Any way they choose, that's what they're going to put on that app. And so that's how you get matched. But once you guys start communicating one on one, that's when the truth's going to come out.
Mm. Arthur, what were you going to say?
I've never used an app. Um, I've never gone on dates like 10 years, nothing. And actually, the first time I've actually did this speed round dating something, which was a couple of weeks ago, which Fawn Fawn invited everybody in the singles ministry to. And that's the first time that I ever did anything like that. And I was on the screen with like 80 people doing something, and there was like 80 people, and there was only 5 guys, and it was crazy. Let me tell you,
You was
Like
like,
a
it
wait,
game
was
show.
it
so Five
was
Guys?
5 guys. I'm no joke. It was Rubidoux Church, Seventh-day Adventist Church did this, and this was man. Let me tell you, 5 guys, and it was quite interesting. But I'm never probably doing that ever again in my life.
Well, look, man, if there are 80 people, 5 guys, you don't got to do it again because you just got like the lion's share. You came up out of there like, I got digits, I got all these numbers.
Nah, I don't want, bruh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's got to be a
Yeah,
match.
Arthur, you don't need to do it again. Go ahead and send that church information over to me. I'll go ahead and take it for you.
And I'm not hating on Tinder. Somebody might, one of our listeners might work for Tinder. Look, let's keep it real. I have 3 grandchildren as a result of Tinder. So
That's not a good
well, it's a good thing in that, but
Some of my
Not a
friends
good
met on Tinder and they're
endorsement.
married, and they are in love and doing great.
so blessings do abound.
Yeah. And my sister-in-law, she met her husband not on Tinder, but from a dating app. So
Mhm.
there's several people actually I know that have been able to sustain a relationship, get married, and they're still happy. So
So are those things still relevant when you look at like eHarmony and what was it, datingafarmer.com or whatever it's called?
Farmers only.
farmers.com. Oh,
Farmer-
farmersonly.com. Yeah.
Wow.
Those commercials used to kill me.
They were
I
funny.
believe it all has to do with your circumstance sometimes too. For myself, I'm at the time going from transition of uh, being totally disabled to partially disabled, and no one's running to your house or your hospital door, knocking on the door like, hey, you want to go on a date, like, or so it's kind of difficult to think about how you're actually going to go into even speaking to somebody without them bringing up your circumstance, which then I learned that my circumstance really has nothing to do with who I'm speaking to and what I'm doing. And if they understand and get to know who I am, then you know it'll all work because I think I'm a great guy.
There you go.
That's what's up.
Let's
But
go.
You are a
isn't
great
that where
guy.
it begins? Doesn't it begin with understanding our self-worth, our own value? I know that
Yeah,
Snooks and I and several people on in this panel are coaches, and we spend a lot of time reviewing our own what we call disc assessment or flight assessment. We have certain results that we look at to understand ourselves better and what we can contribute to every environment that we're in, because it always changes, right? It's always dependent upon the situation we're in. But I think that when you understand yourself better, then it helps you understand who you're coming in contact with as well, and potentially giving you a better read on what you need. I mean, nobody, look, we all know how it is when we go to the grocery store. You go to the grocery store, and if you have a list, you're pretty, you feel pretty good when you walk out of there because you stuck to your list, you got everything. But you know what it's like when you're hungry, or I know back in the days we call it being thirsty, but we know if you're hungry and you walk into that grocery store without a list, you come out with all kinds of chocolate pretzels and beer, and I mean, you got so many things that I just knew I wanted something, but I came out with all the things that I really didn't need. And I feel like some of the single people that I talk to sometimes have that same type of experience. That when it's, am I wrong in my assessment?
That's so deep, Uncle E. I can take that one. So I've been doing a lot of deep diving, and I've just been realizing that a lot of the reasons why I am single, and a lot of the reasons why it was one way attraction. Either someone was attracted to me and I was like, oh no, I'm not having it. It's like you're not the right person, or I was attracted to somebody else and it didn't work. A lot of it started with myself and a low level of self-confidence. Like, even if I were to find a person and we were to date and we were to be in a good relationship, my mentality would have been like, oh, you were not worth it, you were not good enough. So my mindset would have been to sabotage the relationship anyways. And I've been in situations where I just sacked relationships because I thought they were going to end. I'm not proud of it. I'm just saying that's what happened, because this low level of self-esteem that, well, is rooted in something childhood. Well, as soon as I start to uncover that, it's like, okay, now I'm on a firm foundation. Now I can actually start to build something.
I think and I appreciate what you just said, Anthony, and even actually all of y'all, because if you think about it, what is that FOMO, fear of missing out?
Right.
I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is one thing that may keep you stuck in a bad situation, because you think that society, let's just keep it real, if you're not married by a certain age, if you don't have kids by a certain age, if you never have kids, society tends to, what's wrong with her? Or, and I'm just going to speak from the woman's perspective, because it's not like I don't feel like men get looked down upon if they don't have children or if they've never been married by a certain age. So it's like you put yourself in a situation just to fit in. It's almost like you feel like you have to conform. And then when you feel like you have to conform, you end up just accepting whatever because that's what it looks like. It's supposed to look good. It doesn't necessarily have to be good. It just needs to look good. So
Hmm.
Agreed.
Mm.
I'm picking back up now. Society might not look down on our men, but our families, they are better believe they're giving us a hard time. Like, oh, when you gonna meet somebody? When we gonna have kids? When you gonna get married? Like I remember one time I came home, some of my mom was like, when you gonna make me a grandmother? Or when you, and sometimes I know my mom is eager to see me date people and stuff, because I know a sign of that, going back to y'all, the one episode of my podcast she actually promoted on her page was the episode I had you all on. And I'm like, everybody else I did podcasts with, they all said the same thing. Your mama's eager to see you get married. I'm like, if that's the one episode out of all of the episodes she promoting, that's the one episode she wants to promote, because she's probably eager to see you get married. So us men, we might not catch it from society, but we're catching it from our families and sometimes and some of our friends.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's real.
that's good. Can I piggyback off of that really quickly? Man, I have one aunt that asks me the same question every single time. It's like she gets my family on the phone call. She's like, "Oh, are you dating yet? Like, where is your girlfriend right now?"
Yes.
I'm just like, this is the worst question in the world. It's like, why do you keep asking me that? Right? I'm like, I'm to the point now where it's like, oh, she's on the phone. Okay, I'm busy. Right? I can't deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I'm busy. I'm busy not talking to you, and you asking me that question. I'm good.
Listen, that's why I haven't really dealt with some of my family members in a while, and they only like 30 minutes away from me, because I remember one time I came home from college, my uncle Streb asked me, when was the last time you got some, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, seriously, uncle? You really want to ask me that? I'm coming home from
Listen,
college and this is what you ask?
listen. I get that question, boy. Woo! It keeps coming. I'm like, oh, what do you think's gonna happen? Like, um, for men, it's kind of strange sometimes being single and in a situation where you're not sure what you can or can't do because of a certain circumstance, right? And you really don't know how it's gonna affect the other person, right? Or how's she gonna look at me rolling up to her in this chair, asking her to go out, like, and all these things, and our minds start playing tricks on us. And a lot of times it's not even really what they're thinking, right? It's a man thinking of what a woman is thinking. And she's probably looking at it saying, wow, I'd like to get with them to actually help build him back up, right? That's more of what they would be thinking of instead of the other that sometimes guys get at. So that came to my mind. So I just had to say that. I know.
Well, that's it. Well, and it's real, right? Because look, we're talking about all these esoteric things regarding relationships, but let's keep it real. When we get to discussions about Adam and Eve, when we get to discussions about male, female, sex is always a component of it.
After marriage.
We promote postmarital sex, but the second letter in our moniker and crazy is real. So let's keep it real. Jesus is in the beginnings of forgiveness. So no, I just
Every night you gonna ask for forgiveness.
there was a point in my life when I did. I may not even ask every other night. I'm just like, it was like, I'm just gonna put this forgiveness in a bank and I'm gonna collect it on Sunday.
I'm learning new things. Wow. Okay.
Me too, Miss Tinder.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
This is a
Bang,
great
bang,
podcast.
bang, shots fired.
No, but let's jump into that, because when you're talking about that is, you know, the elephant in the room, right? That's the thing that we don't want to talk about. Yes, we want to meet somebody. We talk about we want these qualities. We want somebody that's financially stable and responsible. We want all these different things. But when it's all said and done, you do want somebody that's going to be able to be equally yoked in the sexual arena as well. But with that said, how difficult is that? Because people have, you know, standards. You talked about standards when you're in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s. But I've heard mention of your faith as well as Christians. How does that play into, you know, your ability to really insert yourself in the dating world today?
Uncle E, I can take this. So for me, our culture, we are very big on God. Everything is God first, then family, then self. But what I've learned in BU, it's God first, then me, then family, then everybody else. Um, with with chastity or not having sex. So I've never my whole life. And it's weighed on my self-esteem because I was like, oh, maybe this is why I'm single, because I've never had sex. And so I'm not desirable to somebody. But what I've learned through the years, whether you've had sex or not, you're still worthy of being with. But you have to, what Anthony was saying before, like he was doing the work from within to just be a better person and like go for relationships. That's how I think when I hit about 35 and up to this point, I was like, it's not even about that. The right person is going to want you whether or not you've had sex. And so that's
Very true.
I think
Well,
the right person respects it. Sorry, Snooks, where you going?
No, I was going where you were. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the right person respects it, and I think the right person respects your decisions, and how you decide to live your life, and especially in regards to religion and things that you hold in high regard. I just think that, yeah, I've always gone with that belief, and it's taken a lot of conversation and a lot of talking around that area, which is a very scary area to talk to people about, especially when things may have like started to go too far, like things like that. So it's a sensitive topic, but if it's something that matters to you and something that you hold dear, it's worth talking about, and it's worth having somebody who respects that.
Yeah,
I
that's
totally
good stuff.
agree. Mhm.
Yeah, and shout out to the transparency, Evelyn and Dom. Definitely appreciate that. Bringing it back to Snooks' question, I think we losing, at least in my circle, we don't talk about it, right? So the fact that we do not talk about it, and if we do talk about it, it's to the extent that Uncle E talks about it. It's like, or that Snooks recommend, it's like, oh, sex comes after covenant, after marriage, right? And that's the end of the conversation. But the challenging thing is, it's like, since we don't talk about it, we're automatically we need that information because there's like a natural like thought process. It's like, oh, I'm curious. So the world's gonna start to feed us like, okay, you're looking at the fast stuff, you're looking at the stuff that it shows on TV and the movies, and that's what it's supposed to look like. And we're just automatically just intaking this because we have this curiosity and we're not talking about it. We lose.
So I want to share. So when Lovey and we first got together, why are you laughing? So we first got together. I was celibate. So we're fully transparent. I was not a virgin when we got married, but I was celibate. I was acting. But I was
Yo.
celibate, and there were relationships prior to that I liked someone, they liked me, but when it came to I was very upfront. Well, I'm not about having sex. I want to wait until I get married to have sex. And sometimes people look at that like, well, if you're not a virgin, then why are you waiting? But it's like, because that's what I want to do. That's what my faith is. I want to wait. And it wasn't just guys that were, I felt like they were kind of tuned out about it. Even some of the women that I knew that I worked with, when I said that I wasn't, we didn't have sex or we hadn't had sex, and no one believed me. They were just like, well, what's wrong with them? I mean, it's like there's always something wrong if you're not having it. And so it's like nothing is wrong, but that just shows where, as far as I'm concerned, the values are with them. If every relationship, it has to be about, the physical part. I mean, intimacy is one thing, but you don't always have to have sex. And if someone cannot wait for you, or someone cannot respect that decision, then that tells me then they're not the someone that deserves that gift, because that's exactly what that is. Overling, I applaud you, because a lot of women and men would not be able to stick to those values. So don't ever feel ashamed, or don't ever feel bad about it, because hats off. Not everyone can say that, that they're still a
Mhm.
virgin. That's awesome.
And you're not alone, because, and first and foremost, I appreciate the transparency of everyone. Um, that's huge. I know that when Snooks and I met, she was celibate, as was I, but I called it something different. I called myself a born again virgin, and I thought I had coined the phrase, but I hear people tossing it around nowadays. But I was, because I was a single parent. So, but it was one of those things where I was highly promiscuous early on, and then just reached a point where it was just kind of, there was a deadening, if you will. I don't know how to call it anything else. It was just hollow. It was a hollowness. There wasn't a need. There was something else that I was more focused on, which was my child, and I wasn't even looking to meet someone. But you guys know that story. If you don't, go back to episode 39. You guys can check that out. Um, but it's one of those things where there are people nowadays that are starting to really hold on to that chastity. We have a niece that is in Georgia. She's in Atlanta. She graduated from the University of Georgia about a year ago, and she's going to kill me, because she and two of her girlfriends have a podcast that is about three young women in their early 20s that are all virgins, and they focus on talking about what it's like to be young women of color in Atlanta, a very active area, and to have those I won't call them vows of chastity, but that mindset of, when I find them, I'll know, and we'll deal with it at that point. But until then, somebody has to earn the right to be with me, and that's their mindset. But so Overland, I share that because, Overland, I don't want you to think that you're doing something wrong, or you're a unicorn. I hate that phrase, by the way, but as I say it, I know.
I think it's great, and I applaud those young ladies. If I could go back 30 something years, I probably would change, because I think a lot of
Praise
times
his
when you
name,
bring,
right?
pardon?
I said, praise his name, right? You and me.
I think a lot of times we allow sex to control the relationship,
Mhm.
and you don't get to know the person. You don't have conversations. You don't see what that person's really about, because you brought the sex into the relationship so soon
Mhm.
before you knew them, and that just kind of takes over at that point. And you'll stay in it maybe because it's good or whatever, but you don't know that person, and then reality starts setting in, and you're like, and then you're stuck. So I do applaud those young ladies for taking that initiative, because you don't find many women or men who will do that. I mean, you got kids 15 and 16 years old now having kids. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. I didn't have my son until I was 25, so I couldn't even imagine, at being 15 or so. But I think with anything, just you have to respect yourself when entering into a relationship, and then you have to know and love yourself in order to get that from your partner, because you won't get it because you don't even know what love is or how to love if you can't love yourself.
Come on, that's real.
Mhm.
So,
Uncle E, sorry, real quick.
good.
Just thank you guys for your flowers and everybody that's spoken on what I said. But I want to make it clear to what I said before. You're not any better if you're a virgin to those who have lost, not lost, like has experienced sex. Um, I feel like our society puts so much emphasis on one or the other, but what Felicia was saying, like if you could find yourself loving yourself, whether you give away your virginity, it was your choice. I think Dom touched on it too. It was your choice, and the right person is going to respect and love you. And hope and like come to that realization because I do feel a sort of respect when people are like, oh, you're so good, but I didn't come to this point with this choice on my own. It was all power of prayer and my devotion to Heavenly Father, but also I had a support group when I did desire that, or I was in situations where I could have had the opportunity to have sex. I always had somebody strong to make me stronger. So I just wanted to throw that out there too, that I didn't do this all by myself.
Let's touch on that because in Married into Crazy, we always talk about belonging to an iron tribe or creating your iron tribe. An iron tribe is like we go back to Proverbs 27:17, where it says, "As iron sharpens iron," and you know the rest. But what we do is we tweak it a little bit when we say, "As iron sharpens iron," we as couples should sharpen each other. But let's take it a step further. When we're talking about singles in your collective, the people that you surround yourself with. Overland just talked about having a strong individual or strong people in her network in her group around her that supported her. How's everyone else when you're in your I know we have I got my boys or I got my girls, what have you, but do you really have that your iron tribe, that crew around you that supports you in, for lack of a better phrase, your singleness, um, in a positive way? Not, I'm gonna get you, look, we're gonna get you laid today. We're gonna get you a man, or we're gonna get you a woman, or what I mean? Not that respect, but somebody that says, I see you and I support you, and I'm gonna help you in your journey as you need me to. Do you have people like that? And how did you come across them?
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Arthur.
No, no, ladies first, please.
um, for everybody who knows me knows that I am super open and I just talk about whatever. And I'm an open book. If you ask me a question, I'll give you an answer. So careful what you ask me, but like that's how I am with all of my friends, especially like I am super open. And so I have always had that support, I think, because I have been authentic with them. And I am who I am. You're either going to like me or you're not. And so I think being authentic and fully you, especially with that group, because for some people it's a closed group that they can only be that person with. So I think that that support is vital, and I've had that support by just being super open and saying, "This is how it is. This is how I am. This is what it is," and that's the way with me. And so like yeah, we've just had some moments where it's like I don't know if other people should know about that, but it's just like funny things that like we're just that open with each other that it doesn't really matter. You don't have a second thought about a conversation or something that happens.
I have a select few people that I deal with. I just found over time, some people you can trust, some people you can't. Some people take your information and run with it. So I do have a selected few people, few singles, and a couple of married people. Because I mean, like I said, I'm not looking for it, but I do value their input. on things that I may be dealing with. I have talked to some married people and they may say, tell me situations in their life. I said, well, it's not a bag of chips out here being single. Appreciate me being a person who has been divorced. It's like, okay, appreciate what you have, and work on it, because it's slim pickings out here, so you might want to, work with what you got.
That's a
It's
fact.
very, very slim pickings.
Wow.
Instead
That's
of
a
trying
fact.
to, that's what a lot of people want to do. They want to get rid of what they have. And I'm like, I'll say I've been, gosh, when did I get divorced? I can't even remember. It's been over 15 years.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And I was married for 15 years. Got married very young. But the situation, I had to leave it. It wasn't one that I wanted to deal with anymore. And I won't get into it any further, but I something I had to get out of. But it's not easy out here. But like I said, you do have to find a group of people that you can trust. And trust with me is very important. When people speak with me, I don't get on the phone after the conversation, girl, did you hear? That's not me. A lot of times I'm a good listening ear, and that's what I look for in my friends. And like I said, I do have single people I talk with. I may have a couple even male friends that I deal with. I'm like, well, from your perspective, because I've been told, like with me, people still think I'm married for whatever reason. I guess just the way I carry myself, or the things. I'll just say material things or whatever that I may have, or just the way I carry myself. And so some men are, they won't approach me thinking I'm married or thinking that I am in a relationship. I'm like, well, I can't look this way because I want to, and I take care of myself. So that's something I deal with. But yeah, just if you find those true friends, keep them close.
Yeah, that's really good stuff, and definitely appreciate you for sharing that. Man, growing up, you would like see me smiling all the time. You'd think like things were all good, but I think one of the most challenging things growing up was like the whole thought process was I'm not supposed to talk about stuff. I'm supposed to figure out. I'm supposed to deal with it. So growing up, I had like all these like thoughts and questions, and I had nobody to talk about, and that led into me. Okay, about to be transparent because that's what we're about. That's what we're doing in this space, man. There's like this craving to be with other people, and sometimes that turns into stuff like pornography and masturbation, and I was exposed to that at a very very young age. And that, now that I look back on it, that's something that was very scarring because, man, there's the way that it looks on in real life, and I would imagine, or in the movies, or in videos, and then in real life it's something completely different. So that started to affect my thought process. And now I'm happy to say that I have an accountability group, and we meet every single Monday on this topic, right? And we're all devoted to getting both pornography and masturbation out of our lives, right? And there's just speaking to that topic, there's something special on grace, right? Just speaking on the topic of grace, there's something special about, man, when you fall in your walk, it's like if you're pursuing after a goal and then you fall down, like you feel like, at least for me, I feel like garbage. I want to hide away. I don't want to admit it to somebody else because I feel like they're going to judge me. They're not going to accept me. I'm not good enough because I fell in my walk. I am not good enough. That's how I think they think about me. But it's one of the most impactful things when you can go to those people and say, like, this is where I want to go. This is what we said we were going to do. And I fell in my walk and I wasn't able to do it, and they just meet you with grace. They're just like, yo, it's okay. Pick yourself back up. Like you were good. Like keep on going. Like you had that in your life for how many years? And it's only been how many years that you've been battling it. Like you are good. Keep on going. And in that moment, that grace, that's something that's so powerful, and something I wouldn't trade for anything, to have those that iron tribe that Snooks and Lovely likes to speak about and talk about so much.
That's good.
Well, pick back off of what you were saying. For me, I would say my Iron Tribe is people I do podcasts with, like, because that for me has become the Iron Tribe because I'm always checking in with them. I always have somebody checking in. Also, as far as the singleness goes, I don't really have that because it's like I always have something to distract me and stuff. And it's like, and also picking back up where Anthony was saying is how we came up. It's like also going to therapy and having a male therapist, an older man, kind of guided me. That's kind of what changed my thoughts about that stuff because it's like, well, I thought we were all supposed to hold it in. No, it's like that's why I would recommend to anybody that's listening to this that's always going through stuff, get you a therapist because that's the ultimate. Like, iron tribe right there. Just having that one-on-one session, they can hammer it out. Maybe there's some things they can tell you that they went through and to help you. So
That's what I'm talking
I'm
about.
glad you
With
said
the
that.
iron,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
with no, go ahead, please.
No, just really quick. I was gonna say, Victor, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times when people do say that they're speaking to a therapist, or even maybe you're speaking to your pastor, people do look at you, oh, well, what's wrong with you? Why are you talking to the therapist or a psychologist or something? And I think anybody should reach out to someone of that nature and be able to talk to them.
yes, us in the Black community, we really need
Right.
to break that stigma because mental health is important. Because all years we were coming up like, oh, you're the man. It's like you're
Right.
supposed to be strong. You're supposed to carry. No, men got feelings too. So it's like we really going for it into 20 and the 21. We really need to just break that stigma because mental health is very important. It's like if people would put a strong emphasis on mental health, it's like maybe there wouldn't be such a high number of suicides.
Right.
Mm.
And just really quick, and I'm sorry, AP. I think just in the Black community, and it may be another generation, I only can speak for what I know. I think just within our households, there was always so many secrets. And so we couldn't speak about things. I think our, at least with my generation, I think we've changed that with our kids now. Sad to say, some of you guys are about as old as my kids are. My daughter's 23, so but I can only speak for. I know in my household it was very, things were quiet. You didn't talk about sex or things like that, but I tried to do that with my kids, to bring that to the forefront. So go ahead. Sorry.
Hey, you're good.
Go
AP?
ahead, Elder.
Man, I forgot what point I was gonna make.
Sorry.
No, but oh, the support though. I've for the past 10 years, I could say I've had caregivers because I really had no choice. Um, so this year, January the 10th was the first time that I was actually like by myself for the first time in 10 years. So I still have that support base, which I see that they treat me like I'm this little kid. I'm 47 years old, but I'm not just talking about my mother and father, which are fortunately are still alive, and check in on me, whether they're here or they're in Haiti. Uh, but without my tribe, some industry, entertainment industry people, and my core group of individuals, I wouldn't have been able to have got to the point that I am right now. So the support is really important. I keep saying, divorce yourself from negative people, places, and things. That's the only way you're going to have a really good, prosperous life, because the negative people weigh you down some way or the other. So you won't really get across that finish line unless you lose that human weight, which happen to be other people, not your weight. And for me, not having a support around me, because I know what it is to have hospital people around as support compared to your actual people and support. And the hospital people really don't know who you are. And the people that really know who you are aren't really around. So sometimes that's like finding and meeting new people. And like Breathe University is a place for me where I've been able to find, I've met most of everybody on here from Breathe University. So it's like you need to pick and choose where you go and who you use to support you, because some of those same people are the same people that are putting you down. Me being in the hospital 27 months since between January, 2008 to 2 years ago, there were times where I was sitting in the hospital bed, and like I couldn't speak or anything, but you have people come in, and so I felt like I was on an after school special. For those of you that are old enough to know what an after school special was, when the people are sitting in the hospital bed going through something, and the people are coming up there talking, saying, "Oh, I would have done this, 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 this." Man, look at here, man. I don't really curse a lot, but I found out one thing about me was the word, AP. They've been calling me AP since I was in elementary school. But for me, there was a special, initial they added, They called me the a-hole with purpose, right? So I would be in the hospital bed, right? I can't really speak and stuff, but I'm hearing people say this. And not just, I thought it was one person, then the second person, then the third person. When it comes past 5 people, then you start thinking, saying, oh, maybe I wasn't really the person that I thought I was. You start doing some reflection, but that always happened for me when I had people, real people that were around to tell me, hey, you're going in the wrong direction, or you should probably look at this a different way. But the support is really important, But I
Powerful.
gotta say, I love the way you guys work together, man, as a couple. And it's very inspiring to hear what you went through as a couple, right? Because, like the young lady said earlier, for me, at the point that I'm right now, I could look and say, man, if I was the person that I am right now, or really understood, I wouldn't have got divorced. Even though I'm in Miami, I shouldn't have gone to the cold weather. It would have made my MS worse, but I would have been able to maneuver, because at the end of the day, it's either where I look at this, like when I'm sitting there thinking about divorce, I'm like, okay, so that means you're telling me you would rather leave me and start over with a brand new person's garbage and baggage than to stay with me that that's a lot to take, right? And if you understand it that way and only that way, it'll really mess with your head. So having 10 years to go through that, I didn't want to have any situation with anybody in it, but I wasn't really focused on that. And I know one thing, I wouldn't have been able to come out of a wheelchair um, and doing the things I was doing if I wasn't in a relationship, because I wouldn't have had time to do it, right? To actually focus and exercise and look at things differently, because my mind would have been, I'm in a relationship. I'm in a relationship, so it's kind of, I gotta thank God the other way, because it kind of helped me in a way.
Right. There's a lot of times where when we look at the things that we most desire, right? Everything that we desire isn't necessarily the thing that we need the most in that moment. And I believe there's a season for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And seasons change. But the funny thing about seasons is they have a way of coming back as well. There's a winter every year. It might be mild, might be harsh. There's a fall every single year. So just because the season changes doesn't necessarily mean that it's a horrible thing. It just means it's something that you need to get through. You need to weather the storm. But then don't think that you got past it, because there's some lessons learned in last winter that you may have to apply the next winter.
I just
And
want to, I'm sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to piggyback on AP is that everyone, when they get in a new relationship, they think it's Disneyland or Disney World, whatever one you want to say. And it is that way in the beginning. I mean, you got all the bells and whistles, you're getting the car door open, they're answering your calls and all that. You let a few months, a year, whatever go by, your calls are getting missed. You're not getting taken out. They're not wanting to spend time with you.
Their representatives, the representative has left the building.
There you go.
Everybody has their representative
There you go.
that does their thing for them. Their representative is gone.
Right.
Like, yeah.
So, and that's what you got to watch out for. And then just like how you were saying, if you were in a relationship in your situation that you're currently in, God would have given you a person, hopefully, that would have spanned that time with you and would have helped you through whatever you had to go through. That person that left, they weren't meant to be in your relationship. If you felt that if you were in a relationship with that person, you wouldn't have worked out and did what you had to do. God's gonna bring you somebody who was meant to be in that relationship, who's gonna be your backbone and gonna be strong for you, and gonna want to see you succeed. With my ex-husband, he didn't want to see me go to school. He didn't want to see me do anything. I went back to school and got my bachelor's degree in my 40s, because when I was with him, oh no, I couldn't do that. He didn't want to see me take my kids to church. I'm probably one of the lead people in my church right now. I did praise dance and I had my kids in church, but that was something he didn't want for me to do, because that was taken out of our household or taking time away from him. If it didn't mean that he was in the forefront, it wasn't good for us. So I thank God for removing me, because I prayed, I asked God to get me out of this relationship. He got me out the best way he could. And I'll say this, he got me out alive because I wasn't in a good relationship. So he got me out alive. And I thank God every day that I can sit here and share that with people. But, and just not to allow yourself to be in something that's not healthy for you. And if somebody's not supporting your dreams, I mean, not saying it's not always going to be that way. There's going to be kind of friction, but there's certain things that you shouldn't allow someone to do in a relationship to you that's hurting you, that's disrespectful to you, that's not uplifting to you. And you should also be doing that for that person too.
Absolutely. It's funny. So I want to pivot real quick on that topic slightly. I want to go back to episode 110 because when we had that singles podcast or that the topic came up, Snook said she was not a.
Oh, about dating.
Yeah, she said she was not a good
No,
dater.
I'm not a good. I was a good dater. My how it says. So my ideology is if I like you and we vibe right away, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking this is something, right?
She goes into stalker mode.
No, I don't go into stalker mode. I know what I want. I don't play around. So I didn't. I asked the question. I'm like, okay, so if we met and we got the connection, there's a vibe, and but if we're what is it dating? Is it okay to go out with other people, or are you like, do we just only see each other? Lovey said it was okay. And I didn't think so because for me, if Lovey and I, the connection that we had, it was fierce. And had he, because we were just quote unquote dating, had he went out with another person or it was kind of like, oh yeah, I like you, but I'm going to go see this person or that person, I would have thought he was cheating and we would have never even, it would have just been the end of that. But because the dating, and I keep doing the air quotes because I don't, whatever, like I said, I'm not a good dater because I guess when you date, you are allowed to see other people. I don't know. I'm
Listen,
not
I have
good
to
at
say
that.
something. You go ahead.
I listened to that episode and I was like, boy, I don't know. Listen, I'm gonna be so transparent now. I'm gonna look so crazy. The last date I was on was 17 years old. Okay. The experience was so bad for me. I only was in relationships. I don't even the whole dating thing, like somebody that I'm speaking to, like on the phone, then going out and dating, you mean going out and speaking, eating with somebody else while I'm speaking? No. Like I'm sorry. I can't, I don't understand that. I
Thank you.
can't feel that. I I'm maybe that's my problem while I'm single because I've only been in relationships. And I've only been in relationships of people that I've known. Like we've been friends and stuff like that. So it's never been a, hey, how you doing? You look nice. Can I have your number? Yeah, that's not me. You got to hit me over the head with a club. Boom. I like you. That's me. Other than that, I'm like, hey, how you doing? Oh, you need some help with something? Yeah, I'm gonna help you. What do you need help with? And I have no clue. No clue. Dom could tell you. I'm because I've spoken to her for a long time. Like I'm I'm the worst, man. I'm the worst.
You're not the worst. You're
Right.
awesome. We've
Listen,
had
I
long
mean,
conversations
I
though.
feel
They've
you
been great.
all the way. I feel you. I might be pushing 30. I'm almost to a point where look, somebody's just gonna smack me upside the head and say, "Hey, I really like you," because it's like I've tried the whole dating thing. It's like you really don't get nowhere. Because it's hard to decipher whether or not they're with you for a date or they're just with you to get to know you, or whether or not they just want a free meal. So it's like I'm just being real about it. Let's just be honest because I've saw women on social media admit it. Like back in their college days, they would go out with men just for a free meal because they would go there knowing they have $2 in their bank account and still just go put up with mediocre conversation just so that they can get a free meal.
listen,
So
man. Sorry, go ahead, Dom. I've been talking a lot. Go ahead, go
oh,
ahead.
good. So that was the hardest thing with I think the dating app with me is because I had met people organically or like friends had set us up. That happened a lot in California. And it was good and it was fun and I was very thankful for them. But so I was talking to several people on this dating app, and I didn't get back to some people because you match up with a lot of people and then it gets overwhelming. But I ended up going on dates with 2 different people, and I felt so weird about it, because I went on a date with one person and then I went on a date with another person, and I was like, I'm still talking to this other person. There's still all these other people on this app. I don't know what to do. And so then I thought I was gonna date this guy, and so I got off of the app, and my stress was gone, which was good. And then I ended up meeting the guy that I'm dating now at a wedding the weekend after my sister's wedding, and he was just super bold about it, and just like it was awesome. But like it took me by surprise because I was then in like a different mentality of like, all right, well, now I got to go back on this app. I got to talk to all these people. And I ended up talking to several people at that wedding. And I had a good time. But it was his personality and his almost like the chase, like he was chasing me and he was bold about it, and that's what attracted me to him. It wasn't anything like I get that girls do this, but like anything like, oh, he looks like he has money, or he looks like all of that stuff, because I thought it was all dumb. I think all that stuff is dumb, because you have to have a genuine connection with somebody. And it's just funny because then after that wedding I had, this sounds so cocky and bad, but like I had a pick of guys who I wanted to go out with. I'm just being honest. And I had my pick, and I could have went on several dates. That felt weird to me. I've done that before, and it felt so weird to me and not like disingenuine, because I wasn't all in on that one person and seeing what would happen with that one person. And so I decided to just go on dates with him. I didn't go on the app, and on just dates with him. And then it worked out really well. But like that whole concept of multiple people told me, and I hated it. So yeah.
As
Listen,
long as you have
Story.
standards,
yes.
as long as you have standards, you're always going to have picks. Always.
Listen, if I'm using an app, I'm gonna talk to everybody, but it's like I'm just gonna go by the one that I feel the most connection with. You know what I'm saying? I gotta feel like it's not. Sometimes I do treat it like it's a race. I'm just like, whoever shows me the most connection, if I feel the most, I'll break it off, because talking to multiple people, it's like it does get stressful. It's like, because you be forgetting who's who, so it's like I wouldn't recommend it.
Listen,
I have a question for the guys. At what point?
Oh, no.
Here we go.
The women can answer afterward. Okay, at what point, if you are just seeing this one person and you're going out to dates with them, you guys are hanging out, you know, you're caring about what they're doing after work, at what point are you in a relationship with that person? Or are you just still just seeing this person and you don't put a title on this relationship?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna take it back to something that Chad Johnson said on his podcast, on the I Am Athlete podcast, the show what he did with the former athletes, NFL players. He said, if I put down my video game controller to talk to you, to see what's going on with you, that's how I know I'm in a relationship. Because and I pick back up, it don't necessarily have to be the video game controller. I could be editing a podcast or whatever. If I'm stopping what I'm doing to sit down and really talk to you and come to your needs, at that point, I feel like I'm in a relationship.
Okay, well, I'm gonna let you answer, AP. Hold on.
I wasn't trying to rush to answer nothing right now. Go ahead. Hey.
Because okay, you say that, and when you approach a guy and you ask them where you're in a relationship, just because yes, you guys are spending time together, but as a woman, when I ask a guy that, well, we're not in a relationship. So I don't understand when you say that, just because you have put down the controller, you're spending time with me, but I have dealt with men and who will break their back to come see me or do stuff for me, but we're not in a relationship though. So that's why I asked the question, because I'm a little confused.
I think it also piggybacks to communication. Like we gotta communicate. We definitely gotta communicate these things.
Right, but a lot of men they don't want to put a label. And like you said because you put down your controller or you make time for that person, you consider that person, if you guys are in a relationship. So even with the communication, you're communicating to that person, yes, I want to be with you, but it's not said that you guys are in an actual relationship.
I, and also, I will say, if y'all come together and say, let's just do this relationship thing, there you have the relationship.
Okay. All right,
Uh,
AP.
um, it's probably gonna sound so old school, but man, if I have any emotional attachment, if there's any saliva that's been exchanged, um, time or anything like that, let me tell you something. Not
Go
just
ahead,
now
AP.
because I have a chronic illness, but especially now that I have a chronic illness. Um, I'm not playing with nothing, especially my life. So, um, oh yeah, oh we talking for that long? Oh we go together. That's the way my brain works, right? It's not like, oh no, I gotta go for a couple of dates. Oh, I think Bernie Mac or who was it that used to say there were two sides of the menu. There's that side of the menu and there's that side of the menu. So pick accordingly, because like I'm not into the whole free. I would have been a bad hippie, like terrible hippie, like that whole fun love, like free love. Okay, go do that over there. I'm one of them saying, hey, you guys need to get out of here with that because I'm real personal about I'm not a real jealous person, for example, but I'm not for no one dilly dallying around anything that I'm like. I don't even date women that have dated my friends' friends. Like that's like a no-no, you know. And I came from the entertainment industry where, you know, people used to get passed along. Like I was that dude that used to be in a strip club with artists and stuff like that. I'm the one holding the jewelry and all the expensive things for everybody else because I wasn't with it. I'm still not with it. Um, but that's just me. But I also think it's also my SDA background, my religion and certain principles that I live by. Plus, I was more into business and everything. Like I'm just a real cool nerd at heart, basically. Um, and certain times people just look at, you know, a certain way that you may look, a certain way that you may talk, and they just think that they know you. But no, you got to get to know people. And right now, in this day and time, I don't really see a lot of the communication, especially when I speak to my students on how they communicate, you know. But then I got to think back. You guys remember Akinelli? He had that song, Put It in Your Mouth. Okay. You remember
Oh,
Uncle Luke?
Uncle Luke.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Luke. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Luke.
Now, like I
Right,
used to
popped up.
promote, I was a promoter of Uncle Luke here in Miami. So
Okay.
a lot of the stuff is just remixed into, you know, space age thing, but
Hmm.
I still can't rock with it the same way, but I'm not gonna, you know, shun them or anything. But you know,
And
that's
and that's a big thing now, like you said, communication. I think this day and age, everybody wants to I mean, you can video chat, yeah, that's great, but they're texting. They don't want to have a conversation with you. So
Hmm.
that's the sad part, I think, what's going on in the dating. And they think, they just want to text you and that's okay. And to me, that's a first red flag right there. If all you can do is text me and you can't call, stop texting me. Lose
See,
my
okay,
number.
so I want to know if that's a generational
Right.
thing.
Lose
Exactly.
my number.
Yeah, I want to know
My,
if that's a
No,
generational. So
that happened to me, Ernie. Just at 52, I met a guy. I'll say it was maybe about within the last month, and it was just picking up some fast food or whatever. And we just started chatting. Conversation was great. Gave him my number, but all he could do was text. And
mm,
I just started picking up on signs, and so finally, I put two and two together at the first meet, but he never called. It wasn't even one initial call. It was text within a week. So I met him on Sunday. By Thursday, I said, please don't call me anymore. Oh, please don't text me anymore. So I gave him 4 days.
Did you ask him?
Gave him 4 days. Is that your limit? Is
No,
that you got a 4-day limit? Like
No, I don't
they
have
got 5
no.
days.
No, it's not a limit. I don't have time to waste. If you can't either show me how to make money or have the conversation with me about something, I don't have time to waste. I wasted a lot of time in my life. And at this point in my life, I'm not wasting any more time. And I seen after 4 days of texting with him, that's all I was going to get from him. And the conversation was nothing.
You know what that's like? So what Felicia's talking about is y'all been on the internet and you go to a particular site and it asks if you're a robot and then you got to pick pictures. That was the Felicia method of dating. Like, look, instead of are you a robot? It was like, are you in a relationship? If not, click the box that says you can pick up the phone and call me and not text and try and set me up for a booty call. So that's real.
Listen,
okay, so
booty call, man. Boy,
that's the wrong thing.
Call. Booty call. Listen, my man.
They exist.
They do.
Wait, hold on. How do you know?
Let me help you out.
We got whole.
Here's how I know.
I'm trying to figure that out. He's very confident in.
I was talking about it today on the men's call. So the men's call. So that's what he's talking about. Yeah.
Dom, do you have score?
He wasn't on that call. He was.
He was at service.
Here's how I know what a booty call is.
No, I didn't. No. Not that you know what it is. I'm sure you know, but because you were very confident and they still go on. I'm like, well, how you know?
Here's how I know, Miss Tinder.
Okay.
Have 3 grandchildren under the age of 5, and they were all a result of Tinder.
Booty calls.
Tinder. You say booty. We talking about booty calls specific.
That's all.
I feel like he's trying to deviate now. Okay, what time is this thing over? Yeah.
So now that we pivot to another topic. So look, we've been on for a hot second. I don't want to command all your day, but I want to do something kind of quick, a rapid fire type move. I want to find out. I'm going to call you out, each and every one of you, and I want you to give me the worst dating advice you've received. The worst dating advice.
I could go.
She didn't even let me call her. She's like, I'm going.
She's ready.
So I'm the oldest of 5, and all of my siblings are married. And my third to the youngest brother, he's always worried about me. And he heard that I was set up on a date with this doctor, and he's like, "Come on, just marry him. Your eggs are freezing or whatever." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, just think about the eggs. Just go and date him and marry him."
Wow.
I was like, oh, so yeah, that was the worst advice.
Think about the eggs.
Think about the eggs. Vic, what was the worst dating advice you've ever received?
The worst dating advice I ever received was from a long time ago. Older man, he told me straight up, man, with someone you're gonna have to spend money to get them. I'm like, you know what? That's not what it is. If that's all it is, then you know what? That ain't for me.
Okay. Felicia.
I'll say dating an older man, like 10 years older than myself. That was to me, that was worse advice, because I did date someone older than me, and that was probably one of the worst people I ever had dated.
Anthony.
Man, this was a tough question, but I got some advice this past year, and I love this person to life. They still in my life to this day, but they told me you have to have multiple horses in your stable. I'm like, what does that even mean? What? Like, his mindset towards it is a lot different than my mindset, and it's just not fitting for me.
You made me nervous there. I was like, I gave you some advice at one time. I'm like, oh, please don't say what I said.
Oh, man.
You good. You are good.
Said the booty call man, but okay.
Okay, Dominique.
To date multiple people at once. I got that advice and I did not like it. I tried it. I did not like it.
You and Anthony talking to the same person for advice?
All the other advice I got was fine.
Arthur.
Use your disability to get dates.
Wow. Okay.
Oh.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Like you're in the hospital all this time, man. You know, the speech therapist, you know, the occupational therapist, you know, the recreational therapist, you know, the physical therapist, and you know, the doctors and all the nurses and the CNAs. And listen, they went through the security guard, everything. They're like, hey, you got pickings all day. So yeah, that's there. But you know, don't take advice, especially marital advice, from divorced, broken people, right? Especially about getting back into a relationship. So I'm weary from who I take marital advice because when I was going through what I was going through, fortunately for me in 2010, Dr. Eric Thomas was in Miami speaking. So I spoke to him after and told him my situation. He told me what to do. I did the opposite, right? And not only, you know, just because I thought I knew better, it's because I just wasn't open to understanding because that's when I was going through it, you know, and I just thought, well, nobody really understands what, but he was like, hey, you either leave Miami, go up to Cleveland, run after her, bruh, or figure out why she went and accepted a job in a very cold place that she knew that you really couldn't go to.
See,
So at that time, it was a reflective thing for me. Yeah.
Sometimes we gotta do that. Okay, so I'm gonna
wait,
switch up. Snooks, what's
wait, hold on. I just want to say this for everyone that's listening to what AP said. He did not say don't take advice from divorced people. He said divorce broken people, because some people I think may have missed the broken part, because there are people that have been divorced. They have some very good information, very good insight, but the brokenness, that's the key word. Stay away from the brokenness.
Amen.
Okay, so go ahead.
Single broken people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay, let's just say it. Let's just say it. Stay away from broken people. Period.
Broken.
And you know, here's
people who have not healed.
There you
thank
go.
you. Thank you. That part.
There you
Thank
go.
you, because to a certain extent, we're all broken. You know,
Right.
we've all been broken. You know, one of my favorite. I'm going off on a tangent. One of my famous tangents. One of my favorite Christmas cartoons was that one where it was the Island of the Misfits, when all the broken toys kind of banded together. Island of Misfit Toys. Man, I used to love that. And now as an adult, as a 52-year-old man that's gone through lots of therapy, and I think because I identified with the broken toys, you know, that I've been tossed back, or I wasn't worthy, or something like that. But then there was somebody that loved that toy and brought them to where, you know, you might have just needed, you know, to get patched up here and there. You had to allow yourself to be able to get fixed. That's also one of my favorite segments of Toy Story, when they were with those broken toys that were like the evil looking ones. They just need a little bit more love. I'm not saying we got to go out and love those folks that are broken, because they have to allow themselves to be fixed, but
to be healed.
To be healed.
Let's say that.
I like that. Yeah, to be healed, like Vic said, to be healed. But before we move on, I just want to quickly ask Snooks, what was the worst dating advice you ever received?
Oh, there's a man's shortage, so I need to just be thankful for what I get.
Why you don't bring up stuff I said?
Wow.
You said the worst dating advice. He wouldn't tell me to. Did you tell me to go date somebody?
I told you, you be settled for me. Be thankful.
Opening line.
Wow.
Get what you get. You don't throw a fit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, basically, that's what he said too.
His opening line.
My worst was I was young and I had an uncle. I was in high school.
Babe, just tell us what it was.
It's bad, so I'm just going to share it real quick. He said, what you need to do is date them girls that have children. And mind you, I was in high school. He said, mess with them girls that have children because it proves they have sex.
God.
gosh.
Couples
That's
advice.
not necessarily true now, because I done ran into some that have children and then tell me, "Oh, I'm celibate."
Whoa, where they do that at?
No, that's it. So now here's what I want to do. I want to close this out again to be respectful of your time. So I hope, but we've got quite a few listeners. We're listening to in about 32 different countries at this point. And, there's a good mixture between, like Arthur says, he's a loyal listener. I know Dom listens. I know Overland listens, Anthony. So it's one of those things where there's single as well as married individuals that listen to the podcast, even though it's called Married into Crazy. And I always say that it's for those individuals that are either married into crazy or that aspire to be married into crazy. So I'd like each of you, we've covered the worst advice you received. I'd like each of you to offer our audience and each other, some advice that you, in your knowledge that you've acquired, that you think is a good piece of information or knowledge that you want to share with those other people that could potentially be part of your virtual iron tribe when it comes to dating in today's climate. So we'll start with ladies first. Let's go, Felicia.
Wow. Say your question again. I just want to make sure I hit your point.
Just what advice would you give to people that are dating right now, whether male or female? Just some good advice that you would want to impart that you think would help some people as they are navigating the land of being single.
Well, first, as I said before, love yourself. Be honest. Know what you want in a relationship. If you're not ready to be in a relationship, don't waste your time or the person's time. Open communication. If you want them to know something about your past that may come up later, share it with that person if you feel comfortable.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna stop you there only because I wanted. Was there one? Because you might take up.
Oh, sorry.
Everything everybody else is saying.
Sorry.
Because I don't want to be like, man, I was good. Felicia took my answer.
Sorry. I apologize.
That's good. No, it's all good stuff.
That's what the elderly do sometimes. We just ramble.
Oh, wow.
Hey. Listen,
Overland, you're next.
None of that. Elderly.
Wow. Okay. So in my church, we have this saying called choose the right. And for the longest time, I've been afraid to choose love. And so through Fawn, who's in our community, Breathe community, she had mentioned she picked up an ring. And you don't have to a purity ring, but what I want to tell your listeners is like be the part before you even get there. And the way I'm being the part is because since day one, I've always come to Married into Crazy, wanting that knowledge of being a better wife before I become a wife. And so this ring, you can get it on Amazon, and it says true love waits, and then 1 Timothy 4:12. So just be the part now. Like do whatever you got to do, surround yourself around that iron tribe and be the part. Love you guys.
Dom?
Mine is all about your mindset. Make sure your mind is right. I wasn't letting people in. I said that I wanted a relationship, but I wouldn't let anybody in, and I would call myself super single. And so I had to change my mindset. For people who pray, I had to change my prayer from like certain people or certain things to God, please help us be ready for this relationship and for each other when the time is right, and bring us both to it when the time is right and for you. And we've had several conversations on that, and both of us were praying that, and that's what happened. So just make sure that your mind is right, and that that you're really, like you were saying, ready for it, that you are actually ready for it and actually open to it, because it's scary letting someone in, all that stuff. But it's so good and it's so fun at the same time.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice. Thank you, ladies.
Mhm.
Arthur, our senior gentleman.
Wow, he had to say the senior gentleman part. Listen, man, I don't even know what that feels like. I still think I'm early 30s or
I
late
know that's
20s or
right.
There
something.
you go.
Um, um, see, now I forgot again what the.
Just advice you would impart.
Um, be open to change, because if you're going to get into a relationship and already feel and have this staunch attitude that you're not going to change and you're at this one post, then you're going to be staying at that post alone when it's all done. So figure it out from the beginning. Um, and if you're in a relationship that you're going to go towards marriage, um, plan more on your marriage than your wedding day.
Hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
Vic, Mr. Lick Talk.
Oh, by the way, I'll be checking that y'all, by the way, you know what I'm saying? Y'all are everything, you know what I'm saying? I'll be listening to y'all too, getting some things, and I'll be pulling stuff and I'll be talking about it on Liquor Talk.
Liquor
And
talk.
also my advice to everybody is simple. Be yourself. Don't try to be something you're not, because too many times we put up a mask on and then 3 months down the road, once we pass the honeymoon phase, the mask comes off, and that's what causes a lot of problems. When you should have just been upfront and be you from jump. If they don't like it, they don't like it. Someone gonna like you for who you are. So be yourself.
There you
No
go.
more Disneyland.
Anthony Maximus Manalo.
Man, I'm over here just taking notes because this is powerful advice. Mine is, it's not something that was said to me, but it's something that I've seen, because I think exposure is something that's huge. So expose yourself to the type of relationship that you want to have, because I've seen people who have had unhealthy relationships, and if I'm asking about a good relationship, all they can give me is the best that they have, and the best that they have, it's not where I want to take my life. So kicking it with people like Uncle E, Snooks Lovey, right? I got older brother figures in my life. I got T, I got CB, I got Lee West. They got happy marriages, happy relationships. And man, turn to them when you need advice. We not in this game on the solo. We can run this thing as a team. Like, turn to advice. I know I turn to you on an ongoing basis, Uncle E. I got relationship stuff. I just hit you up and you set up a 10, 15-minute conversation. And that's one of the most impactful things. Like, people get paid to do that stuff. People get paid to give advice, right? And man, you just imparting that for free because I'm part of your iron tribe, like a 10-minute conversation. You were saving me so much heartbreak in the future. Like, I appreciate you. I love you to life for it.
Nice.
Nice.
I appreciate it. So I'm going to run it back up to the top. What I want to do is give each and every one of you, I know you have different backgrounds. We haven't talked about your occupations or your passions other than Vic, but I know that everyone has things that they're passionate about and they're going on. So I want to give you in closing a quick spot to be able to shout out. If you want people to follow you, reach out to you, take a look at your business or your passion. Let's start with Anthony, run it back up and just kind of tell us where we can follow you, where we can see you, let us know what you're about and how we can support you.
Yeah, absolutely. The passions reside in helping people to go to the next level, awakening the kings and queens within, connecting people with information, revelation, and inspiration. And that's just my mission statement. I have a mission statement, something that I run every situation through. So, um, man, get a mission statement. How are you going to lead your life? What is that one sentence? What is that thing that you're going to do for either yourself or the people around you? And just get that all squared away. You can reach me on Facebook, send me a friend request, and Anthony Max Manalo at facebook.com, and we can run it from there.
Thank you. Vic.
Yes, sir. Like I said, I want to thank y'all for having me on. Y'all check out the podcast, Look Talk, where we give it entertainment and enlightenment. We be dropping dimes, you know what I'm saying? We're about helping people as well, you know what I'm saying? Also, if you want to get a hold of me, it's Victor Jones on Facebook. Instagram is Liquor Talk Podcast or Real V Jones. Twitter is Real V Jones. Get to me either one. I will fall back and I will respond.
Amen. Arthur.
I have a podcast named Appreciation and Praise Show every Sunday morning, 10 a.m. You can catch it on all platforms. I'm also a math teacher and I teach disabled students. And I'm an entertainment consultant, as well as running a nonprofit organization called Stress 411 Inc., which emphasizes on entertainment professionals. My mentor from 1994 till he passed away was a gentleman named Chris Lighty, very prominent gentleman. Um, and this nonprofit is to help individuals like himself that are executives in the entertainment industry going through things, as well as those in the armed forces, those that are police, as well as essential workers, and using music and the arts to help bring down their stress and relieve their stress to have a better mental health.
Nice,
So you
nice.
catch me on all things. I think it's AP AP _ strong. Oh man, Instagram, and my name Arthur Papillon on Facebook, and yeah, find other ways. I'm just happy to be here. Thank you again, you guys, because I love your podcast. Victor, I love your podcast as well. And I listen because this is what I did for 7 years. While you guys were living regular lives, I was living a quarantine life. So yeah, love it.
Got you.
Love y'all.
Thanks,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Dominique.
Mine is, so my mission statement is, my mission is to impact the lives of others in a way that forces them to level up and change someone else's life, because because together we are far greater than alone. So I am looking to impact people's lives, and my main vehicle right now through that is biohacking, helping people with their health and get healthy on the inside, because you never know what's going on. And I want to help people before something happens, and even after something happens. But yeah, so I want to help people in their health and build their wealth so that they can build a legacy and be authentically them. And you can find me on social media, sunshine mixed with a bit of hurricane, because that's my personality. But if you look up Dominique Montiel, you should be able to find it.
Nice, nice. Overland.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having us. And the panel, I got what I wanted. So for me, I am a caregiver here in Utah by trade, but I just love helping everybody. So you can find me under Overland AFO, and you'll see all my social media, or you could go to Breathe University and you'll see me all over the page.
Yeah. Miss Felicia.
Well, I've really enjoyed myself today and meeting everyone, and thank you both for reaching out to me. Um, who am I? Well, basically, I empower women who have dealt with domestic violence. I've also speak with in groups of women who have lost a child, because I have lost a child also. Um, I just try to keep people encouraged. You can find me on Facebook under Felicia Pridgeon. I'm trying to build different avenues, but that's where I'm at right now. About a year or so ago, I was part of a book that was released. It was about 11 of us who shared a portion of our story. So I'm still working on my whole book. I'll have two that's coming out, one dealing with domestic violence and one dealing with a mother's loss. So hopefully I'll reach back out to you guys real soon when those are ready to be published.
Amen. Amen. Well, we want to thank each and every one of you for participating in the singles panel. We hope that so many individuals out there are going to be able to take these nuggets, this knowledge that you were able to impart, and apply it to their lives. And one thing that we do on every one of our podcasts is we give two for the road. So we're going to pull two.
Wait, what if I wanted to say something? Because you all see, Lovey he totally bypasses me. I was like,
I'm looking at
okay,
the clock like,
I already had in my mind what my best advice was and everything, and he just was like,
oh,
okay,
my,
Oh,
forget
Snugs.
them,
We
forget
need
her, she
Snugs.
just whatever.
okay. I'm
I
sorry.
need
I'm sorry. What's your best advice, babe? Your best?
It's too late now.
no
Never too late.
share.
There, please.
No, I'm just
Never
Share.
too
playing.
late.
I
Never
just
too
like to
late. Never too late.
I like to give Lovey a hard time. No, I just want to say too, one of like the best advice I will always tell everyone: do not ever settle, and don't settle
Mm,
for anything less from anyone, and don't settle for anything less from yourself. It is always going to start with yourself. Make sure that, we say we're married into crazy, and crazy sometimes it is just really crazy, but it's always going to stand for compassionate, being real, accountable, zealous, and yielding. And when we talk about communication, we need to make sure that we're not just communicating, just say that we communicated. Communicate in compassion, because the way that you speak to someone is going to determine what they hear also. That doesn't mean you have to be fake. You can be real. Make sure that you're accountable. You're doing what you say that you're going to do. Be zealous. Be zealous for, and don't just be zealous in the relationship when it's time to tell someone what they did wrong. Because, oh, then I'm really excited about, oh, wait till I see him. We do that a lot of times in our relationships. I'm really excited to tell you what you did wrong, but I'm not excited to give you the praise, or I'm not excited to make you feel like you want to feel. Sometimes it's not about me. It's never really just about me. Well, it is about me, but I'm just saying, um, it's about the other person. When I'm able to lift up my spouse, this reciprocity, he lifts me up also. We have to learn how to yield to others. It's not always going to be my way, but that's just what I wanted to say. I thought it was pretty good. Lovey totally
It's very good.
bypassed
I think it was
me. So
great.
Can
Thank
I have
you
a
for
can I
sharing.
ask a question?
yes.
Can you guys give us some sort of advice on what we may do so that we're not single next time we see you?
That's
Thank you
pressure.
guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. All the answers that you said, I'm like, yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, I like that too. So I had to really think outside of the box, because everybody was taking what I was gonna say. So I was like, well, he said it already.
Yeah, we're not being trite. It's one of those things where, honestly, this is going to sound really bad, but when this comes out this week, go back and listen to it, because it's not about us. We weren't the ones talking.
Mm-hmm.
It's about you guys. And I have to agree that the advice that was collectively shared
Mm-hmm.
was absolutely amazing. The manuscript is already within you. It's in each and every one of you. And again, this Iron Tribe has been formed right here virtually in this particular call. And the best advice is the advice that you gave each other and that you shared, because I think that's what communities used to do
Right.
before this, right? They would come together in the village and they would share knowledge so that way that the village could flourish. That's exactly what you did today.
That's exactly what you did today. And that's one thing about even the whole Married and the Crazy podcast, all that we've been through. I mean, I feel like we went through so much in the very beginning. It's like, okay, so now we'll be married 24 years in January. So it's like the Lord was like, okay, so now you can go and you can share with others how you were able to sustain this. We were we had to learn how to be real. We had to learn how to not just, okay, I had to learn how to communicate. It wasn't effective in the very beginning. Sometimes we didn't talk because, oh, I don't want to step on his leg on his feet, or walking
Whoa.
on eggshells, or those
Yeah,
kind of
you caught
things.
that, right? She didn't step on toes.
Yeah.
She
Right
bypassed
on the
toes and went straight
leg.
for the leg.
On
I'm
the
going for
Leg.
leg.
shins,
That means you're
baby.
laying on the floor,
With the high
brother. On
heels,
the
with the
floor.
steel boots.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Catching
Now,
hands.
real talk
But
though, if I could actually say one thing, well, one thing that we did learn that was a resounding yes on this panel: stay off Tinder. Tinder is,
Stay off Tinder. No booty calls.
yeah, Tinder was
Nobody got
was not one. No booty call.
but just in
Nope.
closing, real quick, just like you guys were saying, relationships take work. And I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people don't want to do. They don't want to work. It's not always going to be sugar cookies, every day. You're going to have the arguments, you're going to have the disagreements, but you're just going to have to come together. And that's where communication comes in, to make it, to get to those 24 years that you guys have been able to share. Because I'm sure it hasn't always been the greatest times. You've dealt with a lot of things. So that's the thing I think a lot of people don't want to work on,
Mm-hmm.
is their relationships, and keep the communication and uplifting the other person, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
At
and
another time, I'd like to know how Uncle E, you ain't killed that dude. I'm sorry, I know it's off subject, but that was another episode.
I kind of want to know that too when
I always
listening
wanted
to
to
his
ask you that,
so I was
bruh.
like,
And
Uncle
I
E
knew the
the
men's
murderer,
call
but
wasn't the place to do it, but bruh, I have to tell you, I have to commend you, bruh,
yes.
Okay, that's a
because
whole other podcast. And we touched upon
if
it in
I
one.
see him today and I know that's him, I'm killing him. I just want you to know that. All
I
right.
appreciate
Now
that.
on record.
Yeah.
We'll,
Sorry,
we'll talk about
I
that
shouldn't have
another
said.
time. But look,
Yeah,
one
yeah,
thing I
my
want to do is
bad.
the way we close every single one of our podcasts is with the I can
Sorry.
for couples. And so we always pull, right? One for the men, one for the ladies. And so what we want to do is I'm going to pull for the fellas. And for if there is that special person, or if there's an opportunity to get somebody that you do care about, whether it's a romantically inclined relationship or otherwise, this should be your focus for the week. Oh, okay. So mine says, I can give my undivided attention to my partner.
Oh, I put in
So perhaps there's somebody that you are interested in, or somebody that is in your life, or one of those individuals, or if you're not in a romantic relationship right now, but somebody that you do care about. We all have relationships, but give that individual that has special standing in your life your undivided attention.
And mine says, I can trust my partner. So I can trust that Levy is going to do what he said he's going to do. Are you going to put the fan up in Kiana's room like you?
Sometime this weekend. Sometime this weekend, I will get it done. And the last thing is, because we don't get an opportunity to say it often enough when we do interviews like this, and I'm just going to put this out there. Every one of our podcasts since later or earlier this year, in our effort towards social justice, what we do is we recognize and we acknowledge 8 minutes and 46 seconds of silence at the very end of every one of our podcasts, and we're doing that for the remainder of this year and potentially longer. So we want to thank each and every one of you for participating in our podcast today. We are enriched because of your presence.
Really?
And as we always say, until the next time, be blessed.
Bye bye.